Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to math. Today, we're going to take that step we learned last class, the negative b over 2a, a little further. Okay? Remember, last class we were solving for the x vertices of a parabola. Not parabola, a quadratic. Now we're going to take it further. Sorry about that. We're going to take it further, okay? So remember, the equation we need to use is negative b over 2a to begin with. The equation we're going to work with today is 2x squared minus 4x plus 3. Okay? We're going to graph this equation. Okay? It might look complicated. It's really not. We're going to work on it together. You might ask yourself, how do we graph that equation? In order to graph it, we have to solve for specific points, okay, where the line passes through. So we have 2x squared minus 4x plus 3. What we're going to do is, first things first, we're going to apply again the rule you guys learned last class, or the step, negative b over 2a. So always label, okay? If you guys remember, the first one next to the x squared is an a, right? So we have a, b, and c. Always label. Makes it a lot easier, guys, okay? Once we have it labeled, we can actually start plugging it in. Notice that we have a negative b and we have a negative 4. Negative times negative becomes positive. So we have 4. Let's do it over here. We have 4 over 2 times a, which in this case is 2. So we have 4 over 2 times 2, which is 4, right? So we have 4 over 4, which becomes 1. Okay? So it became 1, because 4 can go into 4 one time. So now we know that our x vertices is 1. So now what we're going to do is, we're going to do a chart, okay? On this chart, we're going to have x for our x-axis, our equation, which is 2x squared minus 4x plus 3, our y, okay, because that's what we're solving for. And then I always like to do this extra one. I always like to do one where it has both coordinates already put together. Makes it a lot easier, okay? So we're going to call it coordinate, okay? The one you find for when you find your x or x-axis, okay? That is always your middle number on your x. So notice that we have x on the middle. We're going to put, let's do another color here. We're going to put 1, okay, on the middle. Now we're going to find two numbers, or we're going to choose two numbers, should I say. 2 on top, 2 on the bottom, okay? Notice that they all have to be about the same distance. Makes it a lot easier, okay, guys? They have to be about the same distance. So let's go in both directions. For 1, if you go to the left, to the left, on a timeline, you get 0 and negative 1, okay? If you're gonna go, here's your timeline. You have 0 in the middle, you have negative 1, negative 2, 1, 2, and 3. So if you went from 1 left, you have 0, negative 1. What if you go right from 1? you get 2 and 3, right? One to 2, the distance is 1. From 2 to 3, the distance is 1. From 1 to 0, the distance is 1. From 0 to -1, the distance is 1. Notice how it's consistent, okay, on the distance. Now that we have that, we can actually start solving. Let's use Brown. We can start off with the first one, -1. So we have 2. Notice that we're going to plug it in for x, okay, the -1. So parentheses, -1 squared minus 4, parentheses, -1 plus 3. Okay? If you guys can't really see it, let me zoom it in really quick. Oh no. Here you go. Now that we have that, we can actually plug it in, or I mean solve it at least. -1 times -1. We're only focusing on the square, on the x squared, okay? -1 times -1 is +1, right? So we have 2 times 1. -4 times -1 is +4 plus 3. Okay? 2 times 1 is 2. 2 plus 4 is 6, right? 6 plus 3 is 9. So we know that the answer is 9. So our y is 9. So we find our first coordinate. Our first coordinate is -1 and 9. So -1 and 9. Now we're going to do the same thing all over, but this time instead of plugging in -1, we're going to plug in 0 for x. Okay? So we have 2. Let's do another color here. We have 2 times 0 squared minus 4 times 0 plus 3. 0 times 0, because the square is 0, right? 2 times 0, 0. So technically, all this cancels out. Then we have -4 times 0, which is also 0. So we're left with 3. So our next coordinate is 0, 3. Okay? Now zoom it in again so you guys can see the chart. Like I said, notice that the first time we plug in a -1, which became +1 because -1 times -1 is +1. Okay? 2 times 1 is 2. 2 plus 4 is 6. Plus 3 is 9. And then we have, again, we plug in 0. For the x, 0 times 0 is 0. Times 2 is 0. Which 4 times 0 is 0. So technically, we only have the 3 left over, which is the 3. Okay? Then we have the 1. We have to plug in the 1. Okay? So we have 2, 1 squared minus 4 times 1 plus 3. So again, we'll repeat the same thing. We have 1 times 1, which is 1, times 2. So 1 times 2 is 2. -4 times 1 is -4 plus 3. 2 minus 4, -2, right? -2 plus 3 is +1. So our next coordinate is at 1, 1. Okay? That middle one is always where the line, the farthest is going to go either up or down depending if it's negative, which in this case is positive, the A, so it's going to open up. So the lowest part is going to get to, it's going to be 1, 1. Okay, that's the lowest part. I'm going to show you in a minute, okay? And again, we do the same thing for 2 and 3, okay? We have 2, let's start off with the 2. We have 2. 2 squared equals or minus 4, 2 plus 3. So again, let me move you guys back in here. We have 2, and then inside the parentheses we have a 2 squared minus 4 times 2 plus 3, okay? And then where you see the 2's, for the next one, you can have 3's, okay? So we have 2 times 2, which is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. Minus 4 times 2, which is 8, plus 3. So 8 minus 8 cancels out, plus 3. So it's 3, right? Because 0 plus 3 is 3. So our next point is at 2, comma, 3. I'm going to let you guys in a little secret, okay? If you guys chose the same distance all the points, once you pass the middle one, the next two the y should be the same as the y on the top ones. So notice how we have 0, 3 here, and then here we have 2, 3. The 3 and the 3 are the same. So theoretically, right now we're going to solve for this one, but technically it should be a 9, okay? We're going to find out. So we have 3. So we have 2, comma 3 squared minus 4, 3 plus 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 2 is 18, right? Negative 4 times 3, negative 12. Plus 3. So 18 minus 12. 18 minus 12 is 6, right? 6 plus 3, 9. So like I said, notice that now we have 3, comma, 9. Notice that the y, oh my God. It's okay. Notice that the y is the same, okay? Now that we have our points, we can actually graph them. Make sure you write this down, or have a little bit of intermission. Look at my little cat from behind the camera. All right. Okay, so I'm assuming you guys copied it down. Now that you guys have it down on your notes, keep in mind this is what we really need right now to graph. So I'm going to turn the camera a little to the side over here, my other board, where we're going to graph it. Oh no. All right. So we have our graph, okay? On this graph, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay? It looks like it went a little crooked, but it's okay. Then we have 1 here, 2, 3, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. Okay, and you have negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. Once we have our graph, we can actually start graphing. I'm going to use the same color. If you guys remember, our first point was negative 1 and 9. X-axis, the first number, so we have negative 1 and 9. We have x on the first one, y on the second one, okay? So x and y. So on the x, we're going to go to -1. On the y, we're going to go up to 9. Okay? Our second point was 0 and 3. Again, x-axis is 0. Then we're going to go up to 3. There's our second one. Let me make them a little bigger so you guys can't really see them. Okay? All right, our third one is 1, comma 1, which is 1 on the x-axis, 1 on the y-axis. There's our next point. Then we have 2 on the x-axis, and then 3 on the y. And then finally, we have 3 on the x, and then up 9. And there is our equation graphed. So our quadratic was graphed into this parabola. Notice that if I were to ask, what is the lowest point? The lowest point is here. Okay, that's 1, 1. Okay. So this is how you graph it. Make sure you have all 5 points. If you got the same distance on your x-axis and your y aren't giving you the same on the top and on the bottom once you find the vertex, then you did something wrong with the math. Okay. So I suggest that you guys do the same distance for the y. Okay, it's very, very important you do because it makes it a lot easier. Okay, so make sure you have everything down on your notes. If you need to go back and pause any part of it, the video, go ahead and do so. If you have any questions, let me know. Make sure you send a picture of your notes as well with your work, and I'll be waiting for your email.